let's start with the announcement video right here. Let's watch it in its entirety. Then I'll insert the questions, and then we'll get right into the discussion.
In these bleak times, I have decided to run for truth and justice, which takes the form of running for president of the United States as a candidate for the People's Party. I enter into quest for truth. I enter into quest for justice. And the presidency is just one vehicle to pursue that truth and justice, what I've been trying to do all of my life. I come from a tradition where I care about you. I care about the quality of your life. I care about whether you have access to a job with a living wage, decent housing, women having control over their bodies, health care for all, de-escalating the destruction of the planet, the destruction of American democracy. Democracy creates disruption. It creates an eruption. It creates an interruption. Wide from below, the energies of everyday people is manifest. And I know there are precious people in your life who you care for. That's why it's important for you to be involved, important for you to participate. I'm not talking about hating anybody. We're talking about loving. We're talking about affirming. We're talking about empowering those who have been pushed to the margins, because neither political party wants to tell the truth about Wall Street, about Ukraine, about the Pentagon, about big tech. Neo-fascists like Brother Trump, milquetoast neoliberals like Brother Biden. Wow, I'm so happy to make a world-shaking decision. You know what I mean? Well, I know gangsters when I see them. And gangster's not a subjective expression. It's an objective condition. Do we have what it takes? We shall see. But some of us are going to go down fighting, go down swinging with style and a smile, accenting the best in you and trying to tease out the best in me. Let's do it together.
Let me insert a couple of questions here to kind of get it started off. And there's 1, 2, 3, 5 questions. So the bare bones bottom line is that the Movement for a People's Party do not have ballot access in 47 states. So how is that?
They have it in 3?
That's what I've seen online. I've only been able to verify one, and that's Florida, with articles and different things. But people are saying, I've seen it multiple, like 100, a lot. That
I thought Virginia and California, right?
And so then it must be Virginia, California, because I know Florida. Those are the articles that I found.
Yeah.
So the next question: does party matter or not? And if it doesn't, why not the Democratic Party? That's another question. Are working class people supposed to donate to a candidate who's not going to be on the ballot in 47 states? Who's going to donate to the People's Party after all the financial corruption that they've went through? Who's going to do that? When corporate media finds out about the allegations against Nick Brana, who started this party, how is that going to go? So those are my questions about this, because Cornel West is the candidate that everybody has been wanting to run. Everybody, a Cornel West, a Shama Sawant type character. The only thing that I would change about this ad, it would say Green Party at the end of the ad.
Thank you.
If he came out as a green, this would be a game-changing event. But the bottom line, regardless of Nick Brana, they are not on the ballot. So I want to throw it out to the group. Chime in whatever you want, what you've been waiting to say. But those are the questions I kind of want to make sure we get to. Go ahead.
May I shoot first, please? I have to get this off my chest. Okay, so here in the state of Illinois, we have very harsh draconian laws, and the Illinois Libertarian Party and the Illinois Green Party have been on my show. I've interviewed them in the field numerous times that I've lost count. And even though they are legitimate parties, they have to struggle every election year just to get enough signatures to be on the ballot. And they struggle like hell to even get on the debate stage. And they rarely even get that opportunity, even when they meet the qualifications. So my question is right now to the People's Party. You get started sometime after the 2016 primary, but come to fruition in 2020. You had all this time to start building infrastructure. But during that time, what have we been bombarded with the People's Party? And I hate saying this about a third party because I want there to be third parties. I want there to be independent candidates. But when you have allegations of abuse, financial mismanagement, and also for the fact that whatever love that did originally come from the support for the People's Party dissipate in less than a year. And I'll be generous, maybe in a year. That's how long it was ongoing. Dr. Cornel West, you have a mountain to climb. And plus, with Nick Brana, there's a lot of baggage with him. Again, CJ, you bring up the point. What happens when corporate media or the late night comedians decide to have their little laughs and go at it? Or when Majority Report or TYT have their go at it for the People's Party? It is going to end in a matter of just a few months. So many people are already talking about it and how much either one, this is a good thing. Yes, you're going with the name, but his name, Dr. Cornel West, is attached to the People's Party. Do they have a real solid infrastructure for the logistics of getting into every single state? Because each state is different for a third-party candidate. Illinois, I already mentioned what third parties have to go through. Each other state are either worse or maybe slightly a little bit better, and that's not saying much. Not to mention, if Dr. Cornel West really wants to get his name out there, hey, he's got to fight to be on the ballot or be on the debate stage. Is this Nick Brana's last hurrah for the People's Party? Because since then, ever since they made that great town hall announcement, where even Marianne Williamson participated into it, they have been under the radar. This is not how you build a proper party. And even with the Greens, with the amount of trouble and baggage that they have, it would have been far better for Dr. Cornel West, for his name, and for the third-party movement for him to be with the Greens than it is to be with the People's Party.
The question is, would the Greens have him? Right? The Greens slammed the door in Ventura's face. They were going to make him run a primary. Would if Cornel West wanted to run as a Green, maybe he could have. Maybe the People's Party said, hey, we'll put you on our ballot line where we have it, and we'll try to get it where we don't have it. All right, so here's what I think about this. First of all, Cornel West is a national treasure. I think he's a beautiful person with a big heart and a brilliant mind. His platform is by far the best of anyone who has come forward so far. You combine that Bernie agenda domestically with a critique of NATO. Disband NATO is on the platform there, so he really combines the foreign policy vision with the domestic vision. And even in a cheesy campaign announcement, when he's talking, I can't look away. Like, I just can't. Like, it's impossible to trash Cornel West. I don't have it in me to do that. I would love to support his run. However, what Nick said to Marianne Williamson applies here as well. Nick, what you said to Marianne was, hey, the working class got burned for $100 million in the Bernie Sanders campaign. Why should we invest in you? Given the People's Party's history, and full disclosure, I've interviewed Nick Brana twice. I've met him. My experiences with him personally have been positive, as have my experiences with his dad. But the bottom line is, it is evident, it is self-evident, it is very, very clear that the way they have operated over these past few years have left a lot of people feeling very burned. People who know we're not infiltrators, we're not psyops, we're not feds. That's one thing. If you're going to run for president, you got to cut with those fucking bullshit excuses, okay? This is not AA Scranton Wilkes-Barre. You're running for president. This is Major League Baseball, okay? I feel like they need a Gordon Ramsay intervention where he goes into the kitchen and says, pull your head out of your ass, mate. You're failing. You're failing. They're not feds. They're volunteers. And you failed them with your bullshit. Get it together or you're going to go down. That's what the People's Party needs right now. Now, because I love Cornel West, and because right now, yes, Nick Brana has a lot of baggage in this community of ours, this online left space. Guess what? The country, by and large, doesn't know Nick Brana from their asshole. Okay? They don't know who this guy is. So right now, if Cornel West is the candidate for president, that means that currently, outside of our little insulated online left world, right, the representative, the figurehead, who now represents the People's Party is not Nick Brana. It's Cornel West. He reps the party right now. Now, we understand that underneath that, there's a lot of issues. And those issues need to be sorted out, and it's absolutely valid to point all of those things out. It's absolutely valid to be very, very concerned. Hey, if we donate a bunch of money to this campaign, if we put money in, if we put time in, how do we know this is not just part of a branding exercise for MPP and the people who stand to benefit from it after the campaign ends? Those are all absolutely valid. But what I would say to them is they have 3 months to prove that they can do something. And they have to prove that they can fucking do something. They have a donor list still. They have people. They have donors. They have volunteers who they have burned. They owe it to their volunteers. They owe it to the people who feel burned by them to prove to them that they can actually make a serious run for this. Now, if we're not talking about winning the presidency, if they're talking about getting that 5% number for federal funding, whatever the goal is, it is incumbent upon the People's Party to make the case by Labor Day. That would be the deadline I would give them. Make the case that this is worth investing in. And I say that because I think Cornel West is someone I very much believe in. I very much believe in him. And I think one of the things that has gotten lost in this is a respect for his judgment. We say, well, how can you lend credibility to the People's Party given everything that's happened? Well, maybe he knows something. Maybe he thinks something we don't. This is a guy whose intellect I have a tremendous amount of respect for. And so I'm not willing to throw this candidacy under the bus right now. However, I will put in the caveat that the People's Party, MPP, sorry, we'll use that. I don't want to insult our friend who just became a member.
Yeah.
MPP has a lot of explaining to do. They have a lot of convincing to do. They have a lot of goodwill to win back that they have burned through. And all the bullshit excuses about infiltration and sabotage and shit like that. Fuck you, man. Fuck you. Sorry. Money talks, bullshit walks. Coffee is for closers only. You're running for president now. Get those excuses out of here. That's something, by the way, that the left needs to learn quick, whether you're running a candidate or not. No more of this crap. No more of this crap. If you're going to run to win. Yes, you're going to be up against it. Yes, the media is going to smear Cornel West no matter where he fucking runs. Right? It doesn't matter. Nick Brana's
that's not his voters.
Right, exactly. But you gotta have a killer instinct, and you have to, if you are MPP, you have a lot of ground to cover in these 3 months. And so
47 states. Let me insert this. Yeah. 47 states in a year.
But what they're going to need for that is they're going to need boots on the ground. I've seen some people saying he doesn't have ballot access, meaning Nick Brana doesn't have that access.
For the party.
He cannot get ballot access. Nick Brana cannot get ballot access. You need a lot of boots on the ground in order to get that ballot access. And you need to convince those people that they are worth investing in. And in my mind, out of respect for Cornel West, I'll give you 3 months. I'll give you until Labor Day. Get to it. Don't sleep a lot between now and then because you got a lot of ground to make up for.
Nick Brana has to walk away. He has to exclude himself from
Absolutely.
This. That would be a way, and I've said this before, like, MPP is a great idea. Nick Brana has to go. Like, leadership-wise, forget all the allegations.
I understand.
The allegations. The financial stuff is a huge issue. A huge issue. Go ahead, Nick. I see you shaking your head.
Yeah, I was agreeing with you with what you said, and I will say this: 2024 is about to be crazy, man. It's about to be crazy.
Well, I wanted this.
I saw Sabi share a gift. Like, can you guys imagine Marianne Williamson, the meltdown that she's having? In her
oh yeah.
Now that Dr. Cornel West, if the little
guys, it's only Marianne. It's only Marianne.
Bro, Dr. Cornel West killed the very small sliver of life that Marianne Williamson had. No one, that campaign is dead. And also, Dr. Cornel West exposed the cowardice of Marianne Williamson, RFK, because
Right.
they wanted to run as a Democrat, and we are post-Duopoly leftists. And I think it was a giant disappointment that he ran with MPP. I think he should have ran with the Green Party instead. And that's a giant missed opportunity for the third party movement. I'm going to explain here very soon. But I will applaud him for running third party. Because you see someone who don't want to be accepted by the Democratic club, someone who's not running for. I don't think he's running for career ambition. Do anyone think that? Like even we disagree with his strategy.
Of course not.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, I think we all can agree with that. Even if we disagree with his strategy, I think he's operating in good faith. I think he's doing what he thinks is best.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys remember, he was a speaker. I've live streamed the People's Party launch. A lot of people don't know this because this is my very early days on my YouTube channel. I was so excited for the People's Party at one point. I live streamed a 5-hour fucking launch. You can literally find it on my YouTube page. I think Ron was there. JB dropped out by a few times. I didn't. You muted CJ, but I think that was before I knew you, CJ. But I think Ron and JB I was super excited over the People's Party, and I kind of got disappointed after seeing how everything.
No, I said I remember that day. I remember you tweeting shit. I remember that shit was.
Yeah, I was hyped, man.
Yeah, that was the convention that I think Cornel West spoke at. Was that the convention? Yeah, he spoke. He spoke there. Look, I've interviewed Nick twice. I've talked to his dad. He called into the show from his car one time when we were doing the show on the Nina Turner thing. Yeah. You know, I have not had any negative experiences with them, but it's clear. I mean, there's no question.
Sorry, Kim, but this is Marianne.
No, it's okay.
Sorry. I was trying to take it off. I'll put it back on.
No, it's okay.
Show it again.
Marianne Williamson.
No, look.
Go ahead, Kim.
Right here. No. Look, I think you're right, and look, I think when it comes to his strategy, his strategic decision, we can say he should have run as a Green. He could have tried to enter their primary if he wanted to. Word inside the Green Party is that they want Hawkins again.
Oh,
okay?
God.
They want to nominate a reheated baked potato for president again.
There's going to be a fight.
But maybe there will be. Look,
I think Cornel West will win hands down. If there was a primary in the Green Party, I have no doubt he would win, like, hands down. And he's the candidate that can make the change in the Green Party. All the shit that everybody don't like about the Green Party, he's the one that has the face and the name recognition to be like, no, I'm putting you motherfuckers on the map right now. Mm-hmm. So either you come along with what I'm saying, and then Ajamu Baraka is absolutely going to chime in, and he's going to give his influence to that. So to me, this should have been a Green Party all the way. If this was Green Party, I literally would be cheering. We would have champagne right now. Yeah. Right now, we have.
There's the big question: why did he do it? And maybe he did do it because they're kind of a skeleton organization that he can really put his stamp on and take over in a way that it would be harder to do with the Green Party, because they have their own people, they have their own insiders, and they have more of a structure. What are you dealing with to take over that party? I mean, you start at 9, you could take over by 5. So maybe that was part of why he chose to go that way. That having been said, look at what Kid is saying, and he's talking about one state. Do you really have enough of a remnant of the movement that went out for Bernie Sanders that is going to be willing to do something that would actually be harder than what they did trying to push Bernie over the top in all of these different states, to go and get this party on the ballot? Because look, you're not going for the win of the presidency. That's not on the table if you're a reasonable person. What you're going for is the 5%. What you're going for is to start chipping at that duopoly. And we on this show have talked a lot about what we would support, what we wouldn't support. And what usually comes up, we're not really at the point that we're just no electoralism whatsoever. I mean, I don't think we are. I'm not anyway. But not within the two-party system, right? It's got to be something that's going to burn that down. Okay, fair enough. Is this that? going back to your point with Marianne, which Keaton pointed out. Yeah, we're working people, man. We're not rich dilettantes playing politics. Like, we don't have time to go fuck around with an effort that's just absolutely quixotic and doomed before it even begins. Like, can you really pull together a movement that's going to get this thing on the ballot in 50 states, even knowing, and let's not forget what we've all experienced, the system is rigged, even more so against third parties than what we experienced trying to make Bernie Sanders the president. So can you even do this?
You know, there's something else here too, especially in regards towards. I want to add a little bit onto what Russell said about my state in Illinois. Yes, it's very difficult to be on the for a third party candidate to be on the ballot, to be on the debate stage, to be secure. But also, you know, just speaking of my state alone, and in Chicago, we have an unfortunate track record of lack of election integrity in my state and of votes disappearing. Case in point, when Jimmy Dore used to be part of TYT, they were covering the 2018 midterms, and this was Marie Newman's first run at the Illinois 3rd Congressional District. And at one point, it looked like she was somewhat in the lead, and then a half hour, 40 minutes in, this was in 2018, by the way, a lot of her votes somehow disappeared. And Jenks said to Jimmy, what happened? And Jimmy just turns to like, that happens in Illinois. Votes disappear. Votes disappear. Votes disappear. And in my state, yeah, I would say the same thing if we were watching the same live stream and all four of you said the exact same thing. What happened to the third party candidate ballots? So what happened to their signatures? Yeah, they disappear. Oh, they weren't signed properly. Oh, somebody didn't dot an I or cross a T.
They call that pulling a Kennedy out there, right?
Yeah. You know, so the thing is, like, okay, it's great to see Dr. Cornel West do this, and maybe he could reignite the People's Party, but I have to say, what is the overall end goal? Is it absolute victory to win the Electoral College and the popular votes? Because again, a third party, if we were to really talk about a real viable third party, the infrastructure should have started in 2016, and then by then we would have probably had something far more powerful than what we're getting right now.
I think the goal of this is to pull as many votes out of the duopoly as possible. Pull as many people out of the two-party system as we possibly can on the best possible set of terms. And I personally cannot think of a better person to make that argument than Cornel West.
Sure.
I can't.
Sure. Now,
you want to tell me that he made the bad choice in terms of which party to run in? Fair enough. Fair enough. Is it so egregious to dismiss it out of hand? I can't go there yet because I have too much respect for him and too much hope in his vision. I mean, I've seen people complain. He calls Biden brother Biden. Yeah, he calls Trump brother Trump.
Everybody.
Yeah. He calls Palin sister Palin. He refers to everybody as his brother and sister, whether he likes them or not, because in his mind, whether he likes you or not, you're a fellow human being, which means your fate is intertwined with his. And I think that's a beautiful way to look at the world and a beautiful way to look at humanity. And I think if we're talking long term, if we're talking about right now, okay, what is the goal in 2024? A, we want to extract as much support from these. Sorry, I almost said words I'm not allowed to say on YouTube. I don't want to get you strike too. We have to extract as many votes out of the two-party system as we can, and we have to do it on the best possible terms that we can. And I think he is a perfect candidate to do that. Do I wish you were on the green line? Sure, because then you'd have the added bonus of ballot access, and then you could really get to 5%.
You're just making everything so much harder.
You're making everything a lot harder. You're making everything a lot harder, and I think that's all valid. But I say they got 90 days. I'll give them 90 days. That's where I rule.
In 2019 me would literally be in a cold sweat. I'd be so excited. I'll be dancing, singing. I'll be ready to quit my job again to campaign for this motherfucker. But I'm a different guy now.
Now your cold, dead heart will not beat.
I've been hurt. I have been hurt many times. I've been disappointed many times. But also, after the failure of the Bernie movement, I told the story many times on the channel. After the failure of the Bernie movement, and after I was part of that campaign, not because I was like, I hope we win. I was like, nigga, we about to win this shit. I thought I was so delusional. I thought we was gonna win that shit. You can look at all my
No, I thought so too.
The only reason I
thought it.
helped, I can emphasize this, the only reason I helped was because I thought we was gonna win that shit. And after that massive L on my part, after hyping people up like Bernie can win, I was like, now I gotta reflect everything. So one of the things I did, as I saw Bernie Sanders supporters shift to the right, got a bunch of Bernie supporters like, oh shit, the movement's dead, man, I will become a liberal again. Nigga, I was like, I'm doubling down and shifting to the left. I started reading Marxism and shit. You guys know the story. I was more of a social democratic socialist. Then after the failure of the social democrat movement, I was like, nigga, we gotta find new strategies. They let off a cliff. I want to see what other successful revolutionaries have done. I want to read the idea and theories of people who actually know what left is. And that's how I come to this, my mindset now, where I'm only really interested, because I'm mostly completely divested from electoral politics. I say mostly because in Missouri, we got direct ballot initiatives. And I voted for that. We got legal marijuana here. We have we got affordable housing here. We had a Medicaid expansion, all because of direct ballot initiatives. These are the reason why I vote, right? This is the reason why I vote. But if I'm not seeing a continual movement based on Marxist principles, because Marx and Lenin spoke and emphasized the fact that we at our times as revolutionaries need to be building towards a revolution. It doesn't matter if it's realistic. If you say I'm not going to build toward a revolution because it's not realistic, you are not a revolutionary. All revolutionaries, no matter what their situation, should always work toward potential revolution. And that means working through outside anti-capitalist Marxist socialist parties. The Green Party is a socialist party. The People Party has multiple times stated that they are a capitalist organization. They are not socialist. So once again, I cannot betray my core beliefs. So it's a core belief of mine that you are not building a movement within a capitalist structure. It's a core movement belief of mine that you must follow the Marxist pattern of movement building, party building, class consciousness, and discipline. Without that, there will be no change. So I love Dr. Cornel West. We had him on the show multiple times. I'm one of the few people he follow on Twitter. He praised me for my Substack articles. I love the guy. But I cannot in good conscience tell you guys that this is going to lead to anything substantive unless there's a movement behind it. And we all know the People's Party changed their name from the Movement for the People Party to just the People's Party. Because it's shit not about building a movement. It's not about building.
They did that when they had to come up with a party name. Well, they had to actually register as a political party. Now, did they say that they're a capitalist organization or a populist organization?
They say they do not. They say they do not consider themselves a socialist.
That's why Ryan left.
And that's why I'm like,
Ryan left.
Sure thing.
Ryan literally left because their framework was pretty much being fucking.
His resignation tweet
so
said.
That was a long time ago. Go ahead.
Said it's my firm belief that the way forward is a socialist construct, basically. And the MPP is not about that. And that's what he said.
Sure thing. So one of the things that I would say is that in that ad, what you saw was, he talked directly to the camera. He showed a clip of him on Bill Maher. He showed a clip of him on Joe Rogan. That's something that the People's Party has tried to brand themselves as this sort of populist, sort of top-down type of organization. No, I don't think they are a Marxist organization. And so, if that's where you're coming from, then I think, it's totally fair to have that critique. And like I said, I would not advise anyone to give any money to that campaign until they prove themselves. Once again, to make the Gordon Ramsay situation. Clean this fucking kitchen by tomorrow morning. Like, they have to clean up a lot of shit. What's that?
Sorry.
Yeah, bring your statement up.
Because I want to round it up.
Go ahead.
I know it was long-winded this shit because I actually had.
No, that's fine. No, go ahead.
I explained why I personally don't believe it's going to lead to anything substantive in terms of building a revolution. But I do find it interesting. Like, you guys probably see my tweets. This story of Dr. Cornel West running in the MPP is going to make 2024 absolutely glorious. Now, I don't think it's going to be any substantive change to the working class, but having someone of the esteem of Dr. Cornel West calling out Biden the way he is, I saw in the Chris Hedge Substack article. He calling out the Ukraine war, which is something I was like, man,
Of course.
I seen Cornel West say some really weird shit about Ukraine. That was the first thing I looked up, and in the interview, it seemed like he got it right. So I'm gonna keep watching that because he said some weird shit on Ukraine before. But if you read the Chris Hedges Substack article, like you said, CJ, man, if this motherfucker ran green, man, he was spitting. Like read the Chris Hedges article, he was spitting.
But even if he ran green,
I mean, you're right. If he ran green, I would personally, I don't know about Keaton. I mean, I would probably want us to be backing that effort.
well, then it'd be no question. I mean, it'd be a no-brainer if he ran green. I mean, that's a no-brainer. They have ballot access, and what do they have? 40 states, something like that.
They're
not.
Greens have party access too. I would vote for these motherfuckers.
And they get up to like 44 because some of the states they have to
they have to keep
sure, but look.
Recently, go ahead.
Fundamentally, whether he's as a Green or as an MPP, right? Fundamentally, his campaign, wherever he ran it, is not going to transcend the limitations of electoral politics.
That's it.
It's not going to, no matter what. So, like, no matter where he runs, that's not the revolution, right? But I think an integral step forward in just re-educating the masses and deprogramming them from this two-party system, which is the crux of this little show that we've got going here on episode 4.
Mm-hmm.
Let me divest from the Democrats and divest from the GOP and put those votes in Cornel West's column. I think on election day, that's a fucking worthwhile endeavor. I do, no matter what fucking party he's running for. I think that.
I do make a distinction because when I do have a little pushback on this is not, if this was a Green, this would be a movement. This would be a movement if this was, because again, the movement, as Nick just pointed out, is running outside of the two corporate capitalist parties. And if the Green establishes a certain threshold, that means we are in a different stratosphere that we have not been in since, I can't even think back to since the Whigs, where the third party has sort of taken control in that way. So I do think if he ran as Green, like if he got the nomination and ran as Green, I think that would be game changing. I think Ajamu Baraka would probably get some sort of a title or some sort of offer to be on his campaign.
God, you're absolutely right. Yeah, but what would have to happen in order for him to catch on? Let's go key and then kid, just for order. Sure. Look, if for him to catch on as a Green and get 5%, he'd have to catch fire, right? He would have to catch fire. Now, is the Green Party infrastructure enough to bolster that much more than MPP's is? Not really, because you're talking about a mass movement coming behind him. So that's what I would argue. In the eyes of most people, like
they're on balance of 40 states.
Oh, absolutely.
That's a huge difference. Like we're literally talking about two campaigns, and if the campaigns were cars, one of the cars don't have any tires or wheels.
No, I understand.
One of them doesn't have it, and the other one does. Whether the wheels are flat, you can roll the car. You get what I'm saying?
That's it. You have to get through the obstacle of getting on the ballots before even getting to
of course. The car doesn't have tires.
Okay, all right. So first, CJ, Keaton, you both are correct. I want to bring up something before Dissidence and RBN ever got into the YouTube platform. First of all, in 2017, early 2018, my colleague Daniel and I covered a lot of Libertarian and Green Party events here in the state of Illinois in the aftermath of 2016. Now, during that one convention that we covered for the Illinois Green Party, there were a lot of Bernie Sanders supporters coming in. The key issue here is that an opportunity was lost, the infrastructure to build a movement. Now, at the state level, the Illinois Green Party here in Illinois in 2010 was a legitimate political party for 2010, and then they literally crapped the bed. They lost the opportunity and came right back to their normal status. It's because there was never an afterthought of what would happen when the infrastructure is built. And what Dr. Cornel West or whoever's going to be running as a third-party individual or candidate, you have to have a plan of when your candidacy is done. And that's something Daniel and I asked the Illinois Green Party. You have all these Bernie Sanders supporters here. You have a chance to build a movement. Are you building infrastructure? Are you putting it all in for one candidate and then just literally ignoring it? Because you could build a movement, But sometimes key figureheads, either they get too old, they have health problems, or they're no longer, their heart is no longer in the fight. It is about having a system in place in order to continue the movement on. And I think right now, what we're all saying is, hey, it's great seeing Dr. Cornel West, Dr. Cornel West running for as a third party candidate. I don't maybe like that he's with the People's Party, but the bigger problem is that third parties, and this goes for all third parties, and I say this as a supporter of third parties, is that they have never really caught on to the fact of we have to keep on building even when no one is paying us a goddamn attention. And that's the thing. It's always a name and a brand. So if Dr. Cornel West is truly running for the People's Party, his main objective is to get 5% of the vote, but also get the 15% of the overall public approval for him to be on the debate stage, so that there is an infrastructure put in place for 8 years down the road for a potential third-party candidate. If we really want to talk about building a movement outside the two-party system, then this is the time where the Greens, yes, including the People's Party, Libertarians, all political parties need to start building up. They lost that chance with the remnants of the Bernie Sanders movement in 2016 because no one had the foresight. And that's why Daniel and I kept on asking this question to a lot of these people who no longer talk to us, because we kept on saying, okay, person X, person Y, person Z is running for office. What happens then when the election is over? Because we know that third parties aren't going to make it too far in Illinois.
Sure
And I'm
thing.
just talking about my state. On the national level, it's a bigger question. How are you going to build and maintain a national movement when said election is over and Americans get bored? That's something that needs to be done. So Keaton, CJ, you both bring up good points. I just think I just want to reiterate to my point right here, and that is the opportunity was lost because people who were in positions of power never had the foresight to see what would happen after 2016.
No, that's
an
absolutely
issue.
right. That is absolutely right, and I think CJ and everybody's absolutely right. I would like to see him run as a Green, obviously, because it just makes that climb a lot shorter. But when it comes to branding, like, this is a question that I think is really important. When it comes to the toxicity of the MPP brands, I'm not as hung up on that for a very simple reason. Okay, real quick, off the top of everybody's head. Who was DNC chair in 2008?
In 2008?
Wasserman Schultz?
Howard
Was that
Dean?
Wasserman Schultz? Oh, no, I don't know.
Was it still? I don't know. Nobody really knows, right? You know why? Because no one fucking cares. Because the head of the Democratic Party in 2008 was Barack Obama. So as far as the general public is concerned right now, the head of the People's Party is Cornel West. Fuck this Nick Brown shit. Nobody's gonna give a shit about
but
that.
you're only
Most people
addressing
don't know who the fuck he
personality
is.
part. You're only addressing the personality. You're not addressing the financial part of Nick Brown being. You get what I'm saying? You're
No,
saying.
that's why I said. Well,
Hold
that's
on,
why
you're saying-
that was my whole thing
no, go
earlier.
ahead.
No, that was my whole thing earlier. I said yes. The organization underneath him has a lot to prove. Has a
Okay,
lot to
that's
prove.
right.
Well, but
And that's why I'm
I'm
saying.
less on the personality.
Yeah, but
I'm less about his personality. I'm more about the financial part, like working people donating to this guy that paid $20,000 for.
That-
I
That's-
agree with you
What are we doing?
100%. I
That's-
agree with
yeah.
no, but I just want to make this 100% clear. I agree with you 100% on that, which is why, out of respect for Cornel West and out of respect for the vision that he brings to people and the opportunity to get people to divest from the two-party system and vote for him on election day for whatever that's worth. It's not the revolution, as Nick says. You're absolutely right about that, Nick. It's not the revolution. But in the hopes of doing that, at least, I would give them 90 days to clean the mold off the stove, right? If I'm Gordon Ramsay, I go in there, you have 24 hours to clean this fucking place up if you want people
Fair
to invest in it.
enough,
I
fair
would give
Well,
them that.
well, yeah, because
personally
because
don't-
remember, yeah, people outside this space
They
might
don't know who
not
the fuck
know
this
this,
guy is.
but
Fuck
he's
Nick
got to
Braddock.
build his base out of the people in this space.
That's what I
who
mean.
are very aware.
Exactly.
of
No,
this
exactly.
history.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, I'm letting everybody know about his shit. Go ahead, Nick.
No, exactly.
Go ahead.
No, as you should. That's fine. Yeah. No argument there.
Yeah.
And he probably should just step down. If he really cares
should.
about the movement and he cares about
That's
Cornel
exactly what I
West,
said.
he should just step down and let somebody else do it. Just let somebody
That's
else do
really
it.
what
This
I
way all
said,
that
Ken.
baggage goes away, or at least, most of it.
I said that quite a long time ago, Ken, when we did our initial analysis on the People Party. Like, if you really care about the movement, why do you have to be in charge?
Right. Why you got to
We
be in
had
charge?
the
Exactly.
conversation all the time about leaderless movements.
Exactly.
Like RBN, we don't have an annoying leader. Why do you have to be the leader? Why can't you step down? Like, the fact that he's not doing that is kind of weird. But any other take on the topic? I actually have a further parts of this story I want to get to, because I know we got the RFK story next.
So-
but I have a few things I want to cover on this story. But any last thoughts on this topic before I kind of shift gears?
Yeah. So
go ahead.
I just want to put this out here for all third parties. These coming next few days, throughout the next months of this summer, will be very critical for everyone to get their name on the map. I know Larry Sharp recently, a few weeks ago, did a libertarian presidential town hall on his channel. Third parties overall, if you're very serious about this, then don't screw around with all of us, especially when you start coming onto our shows. Because when we ask you to be on our shows, when we ask you to maybe, I don't know, host a potential third-party debates with whoever your nominees will be, then have the, I don't know, courage and backbone to actually show up. Because when and maybe it's a little bit off subject, but when I reached out to the Libertarian Party, the Green Party for the national candidates, and yes, even Mark Charles, who's running as an independent, not affiliate. The only person who got back to me was Mark Charles. The Illinois, the National Libertarian Party and the National Green Party. You know what they said to me? We're waiting to get on the main debate stage with Biden and Trump. That's never going to happen. What? Yes, they said that to me.
Really?
They said that, both parties, and I'm like, well, wait a minute. Where the hell are you coming off with this initial statement of trying to get on the debate stage with Biden and Trump? That's not going to happen. So third parties, libertarians, Greens, People's Party, whoever you're going to be, Dr. Cornel West, if you're listening to this, if RBN, do Dissidence, HardLens Media, either individually or we do a joint live stream all together, if we ask for a third-party presidential debate live on all streaming platforms, show up. If you're authentic about really fighting, then show us how serious you are, because you know, Dr. Cornel West, you know, Greens and Libertarians, you're never going to get on the main stage, whoever the Democratic or Republican nominee will be it Biden, Trump, or whoever. So be authentic and show up on independent media, and don't play the screw around game with us, because I goddamn well nearly lost my mind when I read those 2 emails from the Libertarians and Greens way back in goddamn 2020. So shout out to Mark Charles, who's the only one who said, yeah, I'll show up.
Well, we'll tell them if they don't show up, we're going to do a little sock puppet with their name written on it.
Yeah,
and we'll
put words in their mouth.
Put words in their mouth.
Zoya's love, Zoya life. Big shout out to our honorary RBN member. I saw this while you guys were talking. I have a small presentation to do on my part of the Dr. Cornel West story that is slightly different than the MP conversation. That's why I wanted to save it for last. So this is apparent. I literally just saw this. I didn't watch it. I saw this literally while you guys were talking. This is CNN responding to Dr. Cornel West's run, and they said they were monitoring.
They noticed it.
Let's listen. Let's listen to this. And this actually, I'm glad I found this clip, because this is going to prove a point I'm going to make here very soon. So let's check this out.
Cornel West, progressive scholar.
Well, I don't count bad.
Today said he's going to mount a third-party run for president against Biden. I mean, these things can really disrupt a few percentage points here and there in the way this country's split. Wow. How big of a worry is this for Biden? Well, right now, they're monitoring it. And particularly in the short term for the Democratic primary, Robert F. Kennedy, they are trying to, make sure that the 20% doesn't grow, but they just don't know. Frankly, privately, pretty confident that he's not going to get to the point where there's going to be a real threat to Joe Biden.
It seems like you don't really believe that.
Cornel West development today is different, because he says he is, as you mentioned, going to mount a third-party run. What that means is that in the general election, he could siphon off Democratic votes from President Biden. And
in Florida, too, if they got ballot access in Florida, there you go. Not that they're going to need it. The Republicans will win Florida anyway. Virginia.
So, the obvious conclusion you have, if your mind is not broken by U.S. propaganda, is if you do not want to lose an election and lose by the slim margin, is that you negotiate and give what the third-party activists want so you can get their support. But they blame the third-party activists for that. So I found this interesting. I wanted to play it live. Any take on the CNN meltdown before I move on? This point is actually important to what I'm about to cover. But
well, it's just interesting how they don't even make an attempt to pretend that they're anything more than courtiers to the White House. I mean, that's all they are. Like you could see, it doesn't occur to them that projecting concern for the White House and for Joe Biden is unprofessional. That doesn't occur to them, because the meaning of professional has been so bent to
A
mean
black man with good politics has entered the race. This
Right.
is terrible.
Oh,
for Joe
this
Biden.
is bad for Joe Biden. This could really hamper his coronation. It doesn't even occur to them that projecting concern is not their job, right?
Well, this is the part where they're monitoring it. You know what that means? We're doing Oppo research. This is where the Nick Brana shit is going to come out. This is the shit that I'm talking about. If you think this shit, if a poll comes out and it show Cornel West with 10, 15, 20 percentage points, I'm telling you, they're going to go after the people they need to go after.
Oh yeah.
They're going to squash it.
Yeah. They're not right now. They're smiling because they're not actually taking it seriously. This is a segment like this is just clickbait for their zombies. Oh, God damn it, that Cornel West.
Yeah, right.
Doesn't he know we have to get behind Joe Biden? That's for those people.
There will be something interesting, though. Whoever it is, as a third-party candidate, be it Greens, Libertarians, or People's Party, or whoever, if they were to get the coveted 5% or above in a national election, that would be something unheard of in the years of American politics that I have seen, that all of us have seen collectively, to where, it could be the signaling of the beginning of the end for the two-party system. Maybe not the full death blow that we want, because everything happens through time. It takes steps to get to where we want to get to, but it is something to see. And whichever third party is able to fully get to that threshold, it breaks the narrative that corporate media and the two-party system have had for some time. Now it matters of just can a third party maintain it? Because as soon as you have a third party break the system, the DNC and RNC as antibodies will quickly try and get rid of the cause of the problem.
Well, that's it. If he actually really started to get momentum and stick around for a while, it's going to be a very different image on that CNN screen. She's not going to be smiling.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
The knives will come out very fast.
So this is the CNN segment was liberals melting down over Cornel West declaring third party, and that's kind of what I want to highlight as well, because I think it is extremely funny. You also have this is what I see in tongue. You see Cornel West, his tweet is viewed by 10 million people. So you have people who hate the People Party that's melting down his mentions, but you also have liberals melting down his mention. And this is the mindset of the people who claim they're pro-democracy. The only possible outcome of your candidacy is a fascist victory.
Where's Rob Reiner? Where's Rob Reiner?
Yeah, right.
Hang on, kids. We're going to get you out of those cages. That's what he tweeted out.